Just hit it though.
Oh, which one?
Just press the third button. Not that way. Wait. Those lit up buttons?
Yeah.
That,
1, 2, 3.
That's the applause.
Oh, I see.
Play it.
Oh, that's what
So you can't hear
I
it.
heard that.
But applause.
Just happened?
Like studio applause will have played on the recording.
Alright.
Okay. Welcome to episode 3 of Starving Artists. Everyone's new favorite podcast. My guests today are La Banda Chuska. And we will get into everything about them. But what stumped me up top as I came here, and y'all are telling me your primary project isn't even La Banda Chuska, which I thought was like the main thing for y'all. So yeah, let's just talk about... First off, well, people don't even know what La Banda Chuska is probably watching this, but so I don't want to derail the conversation immediately, but what's the other band?
Well, okay, thanks for having us, Elliot.
Yes, thank you, yeah.
I'm Adele, this is Felipe.
I'm Felipe.
And we're starving artists here in Brooklyn. We're musicians. And yeah, we have a project called La Banda Chuska, which is like a cumbia surf band.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which is what we came here to talk about.
Which is why we're here.
Yes.
And then we also have a band called Tipo Tipo, which is like a Latin tropical disco band. And we also play in like a French psychedelic chanson band. We have a lot of bands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're trying to feed ourselves.
That last band is called Combo Daguerre.
Combo Daguerre. Yeah.
That's the French band.
Yeah.
See, now we could just go off on so many tangents, and we could talk for probably an infinite amount of time if we go over all the bands. But
we can stick with La Banda Chuska though.
yes, I did. So funny. Okay, so let's talk about La Banda Chuska.
Sounds good.
I guess you mentioned it was a cumbia band. I don't know. Just tell people a little about it. Like, how did it start, and what kind of music y'all play?
All right, you want to take this one, Felipe?
Yeah. So La Banda Chuska started maybe like in 2019, and it started like when we moved with the guitar player, the future guitar player of Banda Chuska. Back then, it was just a roommate.
Who's not Felipe? There's another guitar player.
Yes,
Sam.
right.
Maybe we should mention there are 3 other members of the band
There's
who aren't
four
here.
other
Four
members of the
Four
band.
other members of the band who aren't here.
6-piece band.
We're 2 members of the
Okay,
band.
let's just start by saying like what instruments are involved in La Banda Chuska.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's Felipe plays guitar,
Mm-hmm.
and Sam plays another guitar. I play organ and other synths. Erica plays accordion. And then we have Abe on bass and Joel/Jordan on drums, depending on the day. We have different drummers.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a 6-piece.
Yeah, and so Sam, the other guitar player, at that point was listening to a bunch of Peruvian cumbia and Peruvian surf from the 60s and 70s. So he started talking to us about like his findings, and I realized I'm from Peru, and there were some bands that I knew.
So it was Sam who was listening to the
Yes.
cumbia, not you.
Yeah. Sam, who is from the U.S.
Another twist.
Yes, he was like getting into that, and so he got me curious because he was mentioning bands that I've never heard. So we started like taking a deep dive into those new bands, and
Probably like simultaneously as we started to play. I feel like we kind of like learned a bunch of covers was the first step.
Right, yeah,
We learned a bunch of like Bell Kings and Los Mirlos, and like these sort of like original Peruvian cumbia and surf bands, and we were performing mostly all covers when we first started, and we had our first show on Halloween 2019.
Okay, so the guitarist comes to you with a bunch of an idea to play cumbia. How long did it take before you were playing gigs, and what made you decide like, oh, this is worth
pursuing
putting out there publicly.
Yeah. Well, the very, very first one, I think, was we were living in the same block as a bar called Barbes, and they have these like tropical vortex Mondays. They've been having it from, I don't know, like maybe
decades.
Yeah. And so roommate Sam was hanging out at the bar, and the owner tells him, hey, like the band that was supposed to play tonight is canceling. Do you want to come and jam? And so he came to our house half a block away and proposed the idea like, hey, we can just like bring some instruments and play whatever.
These covers we've been learning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So actually that first one, I mean, we did play some covers, but
the show just went very well, and you were
No,
like,
it was-
maybe let's just
I
put
feel
some.
like there were
show.
like 4 people like noodle dancing, like
Yeah.
like contact improvising.
Yeah,
There was
and-
there were no one there.
and at that point the drummer wasn't the drummer that ended up playing the band. He was our friend Steve, and he was like making it like more weird and noisy. So like it was kind of like a very experimental version of cumbia music.
But I think our first real show was our Halloween party, and
Yeah.
we had a house show, and it was a really great show. Like I feel like
That was an
everyone was
amazing
super
show.
into it.
I was about to say though, for the first show, you must have enjoyed something about it,
Yeah,
right?
I
Or
guess
why would you
so.
keep like? Why did you keep doing
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, no, definitely like the Halloween show in particular was like really, really fun. So I think that was
It's
that
kind
was the
of
main
wild
driver.
though that like we had such a drive to do it because we had that show and then literally COVID happened. So like we had one real show before the pandemic.
Yeah.
But I think what was really cool about the pandemic is that in that lapse of time, because we're all songwriters, we all wrote original songs like based on the sort of like material that we had steeped ourselves in. So we had steeped ourselves in this surf and cumbia like music that we had learned to play these covers, and then me, Sam, and Felipe especially started writing original songs.
Yeah.
And then our drummer too. And it was like by the time we played our next show, which was actually like an outdoor show during COVID at this place called Stoop Music, which was like a stoop in Park Slope, we had already started like filling out the set with some original songs, and by now like we just only really do originals, so it's been an interesting transition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did we explain what cumbia was? I don't know this. I feel like we started somewhat chaotically, but
Right.
let's break down exactly what cumbia is. Like, what do we mean by that? I mean, it's Peruvian music. It's surf rock. It's also dance music. Like, is it just a combination of those two things?
I mean, I guess like
It's a little psychedelic too, right?
Yeah, the most important distinction is that there's like we are using cumbia right now as the shorthand, but we are referring to Peruvian cumbia in specific. And Peruvian cumbia, it's a fusion genre that appeared in the 60s. Well, maybe it started to brew from a little bit before, but 60s, 70s, 80s, and kind of like kept evolving until like today. And in the beginning, it was a style that like started to like incorporate the music from other places in South America that were kind of like popular at the time. That was like Cuban music, and there was like Colombian cumbia that it's like maybe the main influence. And it was at a point in which there was also like a transition towards modernity in terms of like the instrumentation. So like they were introducing the electric organ, and they were like heavily inspired also by American psychedelia, like psychedelic rock. So like it was kind of like this, maybe like what we say like traditional music, but like play with like electric guitar, electric bass, percussion, and organ, saxophone, which at the time also was kind of like modern.
Yeah. So what are the great cumbia bands? Like, what are some bands you could listen to if you want to get into it?
Like the Peruvian chicha era.
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, also chicha is another word that like was that you can identify this style of music. It's it has maybe a slight different connotation, but it encompasses the same.
Okay.
And I don't know, Los Mirlos is a great band.
We're really into this band called Los Orientales de Paramonga.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
They're really great, and we're really into their recordings, especially.
Yeah. Los Destellos is a band that some people consider their first album as the how to say partida de nacimiento?
The birth point?
The birth act.
The birth certificate.
Birth certificate for cumbia. And well, there's Los Walkers. There's a bunch of bands from
Los Wemblers.
Yeah. And so like maybe another distinction for cumbia is like cumbia also, Peruvian cumbia also incorporated Peruvian sounds, and so you start having like this. Peru has like three like distinctive regions. We have a jungle on the east side. In the middle we have all the mountains, and we have the coast on the west side. And there's a bunch of folk music, that is very different depending on the region and the latitude. So also part of Peruvian cumbia is using those.
Just for fun, who's a great Peruvian folk artist? Not cumbia. Like if you had to pick a Peruvian artist for people not familiar with Peruvian music to listen to, who would you pick? Just for kicks.
Just for kicks, like in any genre. There's a bunch of genres.
Obviously, there's gotta be a million.
I mean, I guess like some.
Who's one of your favorites?
Like a modern one. I'm like super into cumbia, so like I might say a cumbia band. But like like a modern artist that is doing folk and is kind of like bringing it like into like with its own twist is Susana Baca, and some people might know her because she's been like
Susana Baca. Yeah.
Susanna.
She got recorded. Yeah. I think at some point David Byrne recorded her.
Yeah, I think like he was the one who maybe like saw her potential and like
she's especially more in like sort of the Afro-Peruvian vein, which is its own thing. So like festejos and
there are many directions
people
could go.
There are so many directions.
If they wanted to look into
like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. What's interesting to me is like this is only one of your projects.
Yeah.
So this was a COVID project.
Kind of.
Sort of. Yeah.
How long had y'all been doing music in? Now the reason I interview you about Chuska is like from an outsider's perspective, the band seems to be doing pretty well. I mean, you played at the Brooklyn Museum, you played at the Lincoln Center. Name drop. But you have so many different projects. It's like, how long have you been doing music in New York generally? For those curious, maybe people who are thinking about getting into music,
We moved here.
May not realize.
Yeah.
How much has gone into like getting to this one band that's people seem to gravitate to?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like
11 years.
Yeah, we moved here. I moved here in 2012. You moved here in 2013. So we're going on like 10, 11 years. I feel like. I don't know, they say it takes 10 years to like call yourself a New Yorker. I kind of feel like it takes like 10 years to get established as an artist here. Like that's kind of how I feel.
Yes.
I guess people's mileage will vary.
Yeah, I think it depends, but I mean like to build up into the sort of indie DIY like art scene that we're in, which is a lot of music. I think it just takes a lot of time to kind of like make all those contacts, and then they all kind of coalesce. But it takes so many years.
What were you all playing when you first got here? Like, what were you when you first got to New York? What was your calling card? Like, what were you like? This is what we're gonna be playing.
Yeah, we wanted to play like indie rock.
Indie rock.
Yeah, like because that was like the scene that kind of got exported from Brooklyn when we were like teenagers and in our early 20s. It was like the Williamsburg like.
What are some Brooklyn indie rock bands? No?
Like the Dirty Projectors, or like
Yeah.
I guess at the time like St. Vincent, or like. I don't know, like that era of like 2010s, early, like late aughts, indie rock.
Late aughts.
Yeah, that was sort of what we...
The aughts.
Yeah, we were like, wow, we'll do that. And then we come here and we're like, oh, it's not actually indie, it's like mainstream.
In New York, a lot of people are here to become like popular artists?
Totally.
Okay.
I think so.
I mean, like when we were hearing these bands in Peru, at least. By the way, yeah, we lived in Peru.
That's where we met.
That's where we met. And you know, when Adele introduced me to like these bands, I was like, you know, like I've never heard of them. They were calling their music indie, so you know, I was like, okay, yeah, they're like not like Beyonce, like famous.
We were like,
they're like
there's
indie.
like a scene, you know, like a
Yeah. So then when we got here, like we realized that they were actually like playing Williamsburg Hall, what's the name? Music Hall.
Yeah, or bigger, much bigger.
Yeah,
venues.
or much bigger venues and doing like
Big tours. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, interesting. So what I thought was indie is much bigger than I imagined, and there's all this, I guess, like less successful indie.
Yeah, what I'm gathering is it's probably pretty chaotic, right? This music scene. I don't know much about it, but
I think it's chaotic.
There's more to it.
It's like a bit gatekeepery, and we felt like it's a very like hip and very cool and very this, and we were a little bit like kids from the countryside. Like I feel like we got here and we were like knocking on doors, being like, "Can we play at your venue?" And
what were your first like gigs? Do you remember what your first gigs were?
Where was it? Was it Pianos? It was one of these Lower East Side venues where we literally like go and like these places that slot a band every hour.
Yeah.
And like we get to our gig and there was like literally nobody there.
Yeah.
And it was like, we kind of knew that could happen, but it was just one of those things where it's like, God damn, like, it's very demoralizing.
Yeah,
And we had a couple of years of really trying. And then when we got to this point where we were like, I think we need to like pivot what we're doing, and we kind of took a pause from our project and started playing in other people's bands, started learning how to produce, started doing a bunch of other stuff that was sort of tangential. And then kind of like built our skills up and then sort of pivoted back to doing original music later.
Was that depressing at the time?
Oh my God, it was so depressing.
Yeah. That's really what I want to get at. Yeah. That sounds kind of depressing.
Yeah, definitely.
Just to be like, I don't think maybe music won't work at all, you know?
Yeah, totally.
That was the sentiment.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, we kept playing the thing. Like
we kept playing.
We were playing in other people's bands, so like definitely.
Yeah. Well, and you kept composing music and performing music, you know, like just a different forms. Instead of like calling ourselves a band, we were like recording your
original made yourselves open to just be musicians.
You're like,
various kinds.
This person needs music for their video game. Okay, like that kind of, you know, like just sort of.
But even like you had like a solo piano album, and then we went to we spent a little bit of time in Berlin, and we also recorded.
That's true. Yeah.
Like a more rock music that we were. So part of our I guess music therapy at that time was like going to a rehearsal space, and they would play drums and I would play electric guitar, and we'd just be like doing like, you know,
a little bit louder, a little more raw, a little more punk, and I was playing in a punk band too. I feel like that was a big thing for me. Is I played in a hardcore band for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Drums.
What was your persona in the punk band?
I was like the
What was your vibe?
I was definitely the dorky non-punk one. I mean,
Okay.
I looked exactly the way I look now.
Okay. I was wondering, was there a look change?
I have one tattoo now. It was very me. I remember I showed up for my first rehearsal and I think I was wearing a turtleneck and Ugg boots, and they were all just we're not sure about this girl. But it worked out, so that's good. So that was really liberating for me, because that scene is also so cool and cohesive and open in a lot of ways. It's it's not pretentious, and it's not too cool. It's cool, but it's not too cool. So that was really liberating for me too. To be I can just be loud and aggressive and political.
At what point did you feel like y'all were back on the right track with music? So if you go through this lull where you go I don't know if things are working out, when did you feel like you got back on track?
I think that's when we started Tipo Tipo.
Yeah.
So this band has been going on a while. I'm showing how ignorant I am.
No, I feel but it was right in the same era as starting Chuska. I feel like we really got going again 2018, 2019. So we had a lull of 5 years of not doing
Was it that much?
our project. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Anyway.
What? Can you remember what your worst gig was?
Oh God.
Maybe that.
Gigs.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
Maybe.
in the beginning, maybe the Delancey or something.
Yeah. A lot of these like I don't want to like name names, but like
You don't have to.
some
You
Manhattan
can describe.
Manhattan bars that I'm not a fan of.
Oh right. I mean, I guess like a bad show is because like nobody showed up or people are uninterested.
Did you ever have a show where there were people and they just hated the show? Because that's something you encounter in comedy all the time.
That's you have hecklers.
Yeah.
People hate bad comedy.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if people hate bad music.
Yeah, they're not so mean.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I mean it can be worse when it's actually like
You know, yeah, I would say that people
bad
uninterested.
sound guy
Oh yeah.
like blowing out your ears and you can't hear. Like that's a really bad vibe. That's
Yeah.
happened before.
Well, we had one experience, and Adele, as Adele said, like without any mentioning of the place, but yeah, there was a huge feedback on stage. The sound engineer didn't apologize, and you know, like it was kind of like rushing us, and also when we played, like people were like talking over our
I feel like
set.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's
So like
that's
that
the
felt
worst.
that felt very bad, and also it felt like, you know, wrong crowd kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like this,
Yeah, I feel like when it's not like heckling, but they'll just talk, and you're like, cool. Like,
Yeah. So the next song is whatever.
they might
Who cares?
muster the energy to clap, but maybe not.
Yeah.
We've had plenty of really bad shows. Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
What has been your favorite show? Your best gig?
I mean, can I talk about Bennington?
Oh my gosh!
I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
last year, so 2023, I have a friend who is a professor at Bennington College in
Mhm.
Vermont, and she invited us to play. They have this like music series, and so we went with Tipo Tipo. And the first show we played there was like just so amazing. Like the students were like transfixed. They got up, they were dancing the whole time. They came on stage and they were dancing. They were like singing along, and they had never heard our music before. Like,
Yeah.
it was like they were so open and so like free. And then
Such
they
an
like
inspiring crowd.
immediately invited us to come back and play their end of year festival and headline it.
Okay.
And so when we go back like 2 months later, it was like this crowd that was like singing our music and like just like totally into it, and like in the town people were like, "Are you guys Tipo Tipo?" And we were like, "Why, yes we are." Like it was just it was so surreal and amazing.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
they just brought such a beautiful energy to like
Yeah.
I feel like they're the ideal crowd because they're totally
Yeah.
uninhibited
Yeah.
and like totally joyful and like free.
Yeah, we really fell in love with them. Like it was like, oh my gosh, yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
So this is the opposite of the
It's hard to imagine people listening to your music and being very serious. You know, like
yeah.
it's fun music. It's kind of dancey.
Yeah, all of our bands are dance bands, which
Yes.
is our vibe.
Is that your primary focus? Is you just want to get people moving? Is that?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, for the longest time, that's how I've like used music to my advantage the most. Like, you know, help me like getting out of like a difficult emotion by having a contrast in music. So usually like something that was more danceable, and I'll be like, okay, like I'm feeling good, like, or help me energized when I'm like, you know, riding my bike and like, you know, just like setting myself up for having a better mood.
Totally.
So that's our focus also when we compose music.
But a lot of our lyrical content is not. A lot of it can be kind of dark,
Mhm.
and so I think like the song we'll play later. It's like it's a song about being depressed,
Mm-hmm.
but it's
fun.
But it's fun,
Yeah.
and I love that.
That's the best thing. That's the best music.
Yeah,
The best
yeah.
music, I think, is depressing. If you really like analyze
Well, if
the
you
lyrics.
listen,
But
yeah.
you can have
Right,
so
yeah.
much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but this kind of brings me to what I wanted to ask on next. Bringing us back to Chuska.
Yes.
How does a Chuska song come together? You mentioned that multiple members of the 6-person band write songs, but like, how does one song become like how do you nail it down? It seems like it could be very complicated. Now, someone who's not a musician is very like mysterious.
Really?
Like when you go see a music show, you go. It doesn't appear like anyone ever messes up. Everyone seems to be so in sync. How does the song come together? Like,
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I listen
We mess
as a
up all the time.
non-musician. These are my questions. They're very mysterious people.
I love that.
Yeah.
Also, by the way,
forward, huh?
That is my favorite thing to tell people in this podcast so far is tell them they're mysterious because no one knows how to handle that. They're like, wait, do you? Just like an interrogation.
Mysterious. Well,
But anyway, how does the Chuska song come together?
I think as I was saying, like we each bring a song, sort of like, I mean, more or less fleshed out for everybody. Like so, when Adele like composes a song, like you have parts for every person in the band already, pretty much.
Sometimes, yeah.
You know, or some sort of like a guideline, or like, oh, like this is inspired like in this particular subgenre, or
So like, is it you all come together for a rehearsal and you have sort of an outline of a song and you just jam it?
Yeah, so basically, like, the most sort of, like, bread and butter, like, document, I would say, is what's called a lead sheet.
Okay, now please explain.
Yes, okay, so...
I do want to get into, like, the technical things that people
yeah.
Maybe we have one that we can show you. So basically, it's the chords, which you may or may not know what that is, but yes, chords. So it's like written out with like the measures, and then often it'll also have like the lead melody or the lyrics. So then like the band already has like the basic structure and like the harmonic kind of like the harmonic content. And then sometimes, so that would be like the most basic like thing that we'll bring to the table, and then maybe we'll bring that to rehearsal and everyone will sort of jam their parts based on that. Or sometimes like we'll get more granular and like we'll already have written parts for everybody, so like I'll like, you know, print out like here's the accordion part and here's the bass part, and you know, like that, or we'll make a demo, like a recording. I feel like me, you, and Sam tend to do that, both of those things. Like,
So who's putting together the sheets?
whoever wrote the song.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that could be anyone in the band.
Anyone in the band,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Actually, Joel, also the drummer,
There's some
he
like
also works
just
with
templates.
demos and
We all
Charts.
write music, actually. Every single person in the band has written at least one song.
Do you have like just does everyone just like have a shared sort of document?
Yeah, it's this
a
like...
Google Drive.
You go to your like, this is, I want to submit a song template.
Oh,
yeah.
I guess we announced it
This is
via
very
our
21st
text
century.
message thread, but
Well, we do. We have a Google Drive with all
We do,
the charts, and then we have
there's an app that we
there's an
use,
app that we all use. We like most people have iPads, and then so like, you know, at first a song, like people will read it, and then by the time like you see us and we look mysterious, like hopefully we've memorized the song. And,
You look mysterious.
hopefully.
How often do y'all rehearse?
I mean, I think this is a band of like people who are like working musicians, so it's not the easiest to like find time, or just do it for, you know, without any particular motivation.
We rehearse
so,
if there's a show. We don't
Exactly,
rehearse otherwise. Yeah.
So
So
depending on how far apart we were from the last show, we might need to rehearse a little bit more or less, but
yeah.
I would say maybe like a couple times before a big show.
Yeah, like we played Lincoln Center in November, and I feel like we did one group rehearsal and then one like vocal rehearsal or something like that.
Yeah.
That's it? Just to play a big gig?
Yeah.
Well,
This is what is mysterious. Is like, I imagine, I guess y'all all, you know, probably know your instruments like extremely well at this point. Is it kind of just like, you know, if you have a certain structure to what you're doing, you're going to be okay? Is that...
Well, there's always a little bit of risk, I think, like,
yeah.
but sometimes that's the best we can do, and you hope that people are practicing on their own. But I mean, we also have a weekly residency that it's not the six
kind
of
of
us.
like a rehearsal, yeah.
Yeah, it's not the six of us, it's four of us at any given time.
Where is this residency?
In Chinatown at a bar called Apothec.
Yeah, feel free to plug whatever you want.
Yes, we play every Monday night at Apothec in Chinatown.
7 to 11 p.m.
I didn't
8 to
know. I
11
didn't
p.m.
know this.
Yes.
I could come to your.
You can come. It's
Yeah.
the cocktails are
a fun thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's super fun.
The cocktails are so good.
Yeah, they're good. They're
Yeah.
just.
And it's a speakeasy kind of vibe. Like there's no signs outside, so it's kind of like if you know, you know.
It's
And
like a
it's
mixology.
Not a lot of
place.
pressure too, I imagine.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
great.
So that makes sense.
Yeah, it's really good. I feel like that residency has helped us get tight.
I think like when without really trying to do it, it does make us polish our.
And last year we had a monthly residency at Barbet. So I mean, I think that it's just more that we play a lot of shows, so it's not like.
Yeah.
I think the material stays fresh, and
Does it ever totally fall apart though?
on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
I don't know.
maybe not in a way.
See, I
Totally.
feel like I never see that.
No, I don't
You never
think
see a band totally fall apart.
No, it doesn't totally.
Almost
fall
never.
apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel. I mean, we keep playing. I think
It's
that's
true.
like.
Maybe it's totally disguised.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think like when you make a mistake or like the band knows like somebody messed it up, but for the most part, it's not in a way.
Yeah, let's
that,
name
like,
names. Who's ruining the band?
I mean,
Synth baby.
Synth baby. we have an extra member actually. So
Okay, yeah,
it's a baby
so-
synth.
Why not? We'll talk about the baby synth. So you have an instrument which in the band, which is a baby doll. That I guess some kind of noise comes out of. Explain the baby synth. What's the purpose? What does that add to the band?
I mean,
what even is a synth?
Right?
I don't know really. When
A
you say you have synths,
synthesizer. Okay, a synthesizer is.
I just want you all to explain music to me.
Yeah.
That's really what I'm here for.
Well, it's a kind of electronic instrument that creates sounds out of like pure sound waves. So it's kind of like the most like fundamental sounds in a way, like the sine wave or a sawtooth wave. These are sort of like.
Is it controlled with a keyboard?
It can be, but it can also be controlled with anything else, and so that's where the baby comes in. It's because you can have a device that emits sound waves that then get filtered and combined, and the baby is the instrument, and so the synthesizer is housed within a plastic baby doll that has knobs.
So the baby has different settings.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, you could plug like a guitar into the baby.
No. In this particular baby.
What instruments is the baby?
So it has.
And the baby.
It has oscillators inside that you can manipulate.
Right. It's just like it is its own sound source. So it's not like a pedal. It's not like a filter. It's like its own.
Yeah, it generates its own sound.
Generative source of sound.
Yeah. And
see,
then
you just have to come to one of our shows and see what we're talking about.
See the living baby they put on stage.
Yeah.
The baby synth.
Yeah, we have to, navigate all the
We're trying to
legal stuff,
child labor laws.
The adoption.
Yes, exactly.
Adoption.
It's like 6-way
Where
adoption.
can someone buy a synth baby? If anyone's curious.
I feel like if you just type in synth baby on the internet, you'll
It's like synthbaby.com.
It might be. I didn't purchase it, but yeah, it probably is something.
There is a manufacturer, so
Yeah.
I mean it's a boutique kind of thing, but
Of course, you have to go to a specialist.
yeah.
We don't have to get into anything you're not comfortable talking about, but like, do you pay the bills just doing music? Like, how does
Definitely not.
y'all seem like you're doing really well, but for maybe people who aren't familiar, like, does this pay all the bills? What's
No, I think like
y'all have unrelated jobs, right?
Yeah.
we have. I mean, everything is like within what we consider like the arts world.
Yeah.
But not just within music. So we do like a bunch of things within music. We play in our bands, which is a less lucrative of all. Like your own creative baby is the thing that most likely is the one who only takes your money, but like
starting to get better.
But it's starting to get better.
Yeah.
It has been a very encouraging 2023.
Yeah.
Then we also have a music studio, a recording studio, where we do production and mixing starting with our music. But like I think like I can see that being another avenue later on, and as hired musicians as well. So like other people might call us to participate in their project or recording in their project. And the other one is that we have a video business, and we document mostly classical music concerts, a particular subtype of classical music called new music. And
Yep.
yeah, that's what we've been doing. Like, I guess like a little bit of music videos or like
Yeah.
video content related to like other
Yeah.
people who have projects.
Yeah, like we worked for some different arts organizations doing like sort of music documentary kind of stuff, or
The
like
grind never stops. That's what
It
we're
does
getting at.
not.
Oh,
It never
no.
stops. It really doesn't.
Yeah, it really. I guess like for us, like it does feel like a bunch of like little things that like ultimately like make us.
But it's nice to be in touch that way with all the different people who are making art, and you just realize that, like, we're all in the same boat.
It's
which,
fun
like,
a little bit.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
nice.
Well,
yeah.
not all, but like like most.
Most people,
Like
yeah.
the bigger chunk I think is.
Like, we're all struggling.
Yeah. Do you think? Would you say Chuska is the most popular of your bands?
I guess I mean, I think like they have a little bit different focus. Like, I think like Chuska is a band that has been playing like more often than Tipo Tipo live. So I think
Yeah.
like
See, that's what I see.
Yeah.
I just see how often you'll play live.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
go, oh, it must be
Yeah.
the thing.
I feel like that band has sort of like a more hype as like a Brooklyn band.
Mhm.
We got
Yeah.
listed in the Brooklyn Magazine Best Live Bands of 2023. Okay.
Check out a Brooklyn magazine.
yeah. I would say like Tipo Tipo like has been a little more.
It's a
like,
little bit more of a recording project, I would say.
I would say it's not necessarily, but I think that we're more picky with
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
when we play. So I think like we play a little less, but we try to play better shows. You know, like better in the sense of like there's a guarantee, or you know, there's like a
We're opening for
better-
a bigger artist.
yeah. So
Yeah.
there's that, and also like that's a band that we invest a little more, like so it has like more exposure like on the social media and Spotify and stuff like that. So in that sense, like that band is maybe doing. I don't know I don't know to compare it to Chuska, but I think it's doing.
Yeah, you don't have to.
do it on its own.
Out of all your bands, I guess what I'd ask is like, what do you think? What do you think works? Like, what do you think people gravitate to? What have you found is like the thing where you go, oh, this is actually what's gotten us somewhere?
I mean,
That's
it's been
such an open-ended question.
it's super interesting though that you say that, because I feel
Deal
like,
with that question.
you know, I mean, you're a performer, right? It's like
Uh-huh.
you're putting stuff out there and you're seeing what lands, like you're seeing what sticks, and there's shit that doesn't stick. It's
Yeah.
like, and I think for us, it's been a big revelation that it's like music that makes people dance.
Is it leaning into maybe your own weirdness? Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting. You have to find that balance of like what people seem to like that you do, but also that feels.
You can't
like,
go full like music nerd. What you're
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
It
into.
has to resonate with you as well. I mean,
Yeah.
it cannot be like, oh my gosh, people love when I don't know, like do cartwheels naked. I should do that all the time.
Yeah.
That sounds fun actually.
But I think that you're right. I mean, I feel like there's like a certain like there's things that resonate with you and that are authentic to you, but then like not all of that matches the cultural moment or like
Yeah.
matches what's going on.
Yeah.
And I feel like for us it was a big thing to like switch from singing in English to singing in Spanish,
Mhm.
and then also to sort of integrate much more dance forward rhythms, like whether it's cumbia or whether it's like reggaeton or something like this, where it's like, okay, like there's already these I feel like it's like when you're cooking and like, you know, like there's spices that you can use where you know people like it already, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, you should always just put salt in your food because like people
Mhm.
like salt. So it's like, oh yeah, well maybe we should always put this kind of like rhythmic backbone. And like
Yeah.
I think before we hadn't really figured that out, and it was
Mhm.
like, oh, if I just like express myself, that's enough. And it's like, not really.
Yeah, I would say also like I guess also like I think we started being part of a scene
Yeah.
in a way that we weren't part of any before, and I think like once we started like hang out in that scene, we started to see like, you know, what are the things that we
People-
do that fit in that
Yeah.
scene, and in that particular scene, I think like there's more dancing involved, and we experienced it with Tipo Tipo when we played. Like we were like, it kind of feels weird to play the songs that are like kind of like more just like I guess introspective. So maybe let's do less of that and more of the ones who we see people reacting to.
It's a live performance.
Yeah.
It's a live performance. I mean, recording, I think, like we
Or
still
write
can do.
introspective songs that
Yeah.
are up tempo, or
Yeah.
that are danceable.
There's a little more flexibility there too, because
Yeah.
you can mix it with all the stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
I would say also like maybe like what works, I guess, trying to put yourself out there. I think maybe that's something we did with Tipo Tipo at some point, and we wrote emails to our friends saying like, hey, we are thinking about releasing this project and we would love to hear what you think, and if you know anybody who could resonate with this, and I felt like that we were surprised at how generous people were with us, and I think like that opened doors for us as well.
And plant seeds.
Yeah, and plant seeds and
Yeah.
helped us like kind of like find a way to move forward. So maybe that's also part of it.
Yeah.
What are y'all listening to right now?
Ooh, a bunch
What's
of
just generally what's on the playlist?
there's a band who is
Is it just Lizzo? It could be.
Just
could be.
It doesn't have to be.
Actually, no, but
It doesn't have to be
I
a
haven't
great
listened
answer.
to it. Does she have something?
I don't know.
I bet maybe.
we
but-
have been getting into Dua Lipa just because the
Dua Lipa?
production is so
Yeah.
good.
Oh my
We're
gosh.
like,
The
wow,
production
how
is
does it
like-
sound so good?
It
Like,
sounds great. There's a band called Jungle that I've been really.
What is that?
It's a British duo, and they do like more like electronic music, but they definitely like present their music with more of a, I don't know, like it has elements of like more like this new, I guess, new disco, or like maybe sometimes like a little bit of like an older soul kind of thing, that I've been enjoying, and that is not part of like the cumbia world, but
Yeah. How about you, Adele? What you listening to?
oh my gosh. I mean,
It can be Jimmy Buffett.
definitely not. Margaritaville. No. I wish Sam were here to talk to you.
I know. Doesn't have to be a good answer. But just what are you jamming?
I'm literally. Well, okay. So there's this band. It's more of like a folk band. It's like this band called Lucius. It's like two women. Led. They do these like crazy vocal harmonies, but they just did a disco album.
Okay.
And I'm really into
A folk
that.
band from where? Is it?
I don't know where they're from. The U.S. I'm not sure. I feel like they're from the Pacific
Yeah.
Northwest, but like that might just be made up.
Okay.
But they're great, and I'm
yeah.
into that. Like, they're more like new poppy disco songs. I think are really fun. Yeah.
Okay. We can wrap up soon, but before we wrap up, I want to ask y'all one more question. If y'all had to name, first off, favorite bands.
Oh, I don't think I can do favorite bands.
You
I
can't
think
do
like
favorite
there's
bands.
I do like more like. It keeps
You
changing.
can't do favorite bands.
I mean, we were the other day saying like, okay, Felipe, if like it's like apocalypse times, you can't listen. You can only listen to the catalog of one
If
artist.
maybe this would be a better question.
Well, no,
This might not be easier. Can you name an album that you love, that you think maybe people don't know about, that they should know about?
I mean,
If you had to recommend an album to someone,
yeah.
Oh, I know.
what would it be?
So in the cumbia subject, I would say the Roots of Chicha.
Roots
Oh
of Chicha.
yeah,
Roots of Chicha. That's a compilation with like
totally.
a lot of like Peruvian cumbia.
It's
and,
so good.
And Chicha, which is the 80s incarnation of that.
How about non-cumbia?
Non-cumbia.
What's Philippe's favorite album?
Oh, I have so many.
I guess asking musicians is harder.
Well, we were.
Like if you ask me, like I just go like Revolver by the Beatles. That's my favorite album.
Yeah.
That's a good album too.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm really
See, that's
into
a bunch.
the catalog of Erykah Badu.
Okay.
I feel like she like if someone were like you can only listen to one artist,
Let me see.
I'd be like yeah.
So
that's-
Erykah Badu.
I think if
Yeah,
I could
that's
listen
great.
to all of the albums.
Mhm. What's her best album?
I mean, the first album is really good.
Mama's Gone, I think.
And Mama's Gone is really good.
Yeah.
What's an album you think no one knows about?
That's like
that they should know about. I'm trying to extract information.
I mean, my favorite album growing up as like a young teenage person was The Cardigans, the first band on the moon. Do you know that album?
No.
That's such a good album. Like, I feel like they're this indie pop band from Sweden, but they had like jazzy, poppy, disco. Like, they just really brought a lot of stuff together, but every song was super catchy. And like, they were really good performers. And that whole album is like, it's like such a journey. And like, I really love the lead vocalist.
The Cardigans.
The Cardigans, yeah.
That's a great one,
Yeah.
I'm looking at
what you got over there.
I'm looking at the things.
Maybe like when you were when you were a kid, what music did you gravitate to? What was your thing?
I was
like when I was in middle school, I could tell you I was listening to Guns N' Roses.
Oh yeah, I had.
I was listening to like the Beatles, and then I went into a Guns N' Roses phase, and that was like my musical journey. Like what is?
Yeah, I know, right?
What were you jamming? What were you telling?
I mean, I was.
You were into Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson and Nirvana. Well, that Off the Wall, Benny, but people know that album already. And people know already Nirvana. But let me see, what's an obscure one?
Like the Meat Puppets or something.
I feel like we're so like we just pull from everything and like listen to so many different things that it's just like.
Well, actually, I mean, you know what? Well, I don't know. It's hard to say. I was gonna say that that Jungle album that I've been listening to. But
maybe it's just that. Maybe we should just tell.
But I've only been gravitating towards a couple of songs. I need to explore the album as a whole album.
Mm-hmm.
But that album is called Volcano.
Listen to Volcano by Jungle.
Yeah, and let me know because I mean I have to explore all the songs yet. I'm yet to explore.
You can't fully put your stamp. You can't certify Jungle yet.
Yeah.
I mean, we just started recently listening to this Tom Tom Club record. I think this is like their big record that has like, you know, the songs that you know.
Which are none.
Oh.
The Tom Tom Club.
Tom Tom Club is the band by Tina Weymouth, who was the bass player in Talking Heads.
Okay.
This is a great album, and it's super fun.
You definitely heard the song.
You've heard it. Well, it's been sampled like a million times. It's like
by Mariah Carey, and then there's a new.
Da-dun, da-dun, dun, da-dun. What you gonna do?
I'm not getting it, but I appreciate it.
I
appreciate y'all trying to reach me.
My boyfriend, my lucky boyfriend. Yeah, I think Mariah Carey did a cover, and then like some new artist that I don't know did a cover, but I hear it in the supermarket.
Okay. So Jungle, the Tom Tom Club, Erykah Badu.
Yeah, that's all good.
Prince. Also.
Cardigans.
Prince. Michael Jackson.
You know these bands. They're like very like niche, but
Michael Jackson who covered.
Have you heard
that
Thriller?
Song by Weird Al.
There's this new music video called Thriller.
I've never heard of it.
Okay, so where can people find y'all? And plug whatever you want.
Okay, well,
whether it be Chuska or Tipa Tipa.
Yeah, well, this is La Banda Chuska. You probably can't see this, but we're playing next week at the Sultan Room.
I'll scan it.
Yeah, we have Instagram, La Banda Chuska, and Spotify.
And Chuska is spelled
Chuska. Do you want to tell them what it means?
And band has an E on the end.
Banda.
Banda.
La Banda.
Chuska. Yeah, so Chuska is a Spanish, Peruvian slang for mutt, as in N-U-T-T.
Like a mixed dog.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stray dog.
And then Tipa Tipo is our other band. We also have Instagram, Tipa Tipo Music. On Instagram.
Tipa Tipo, T-I-P-A-T-I-P-O.
Yes, which means
I just read that.
Girl and guy in Spanish slang. Es una tipa, es un tipo. It means like, yeah.
If people want to like come see y'all live, where should they go?
Well, follow us on Instagram and we post everything there.
Yeah,
of course.
And then we have Spotify too. So yeah.
And you have an album coming out soon?
Oh, we just finished our new Tipa Tipo album. So we have 2 EPs out, and we're about to release a full-length album in April. And then the Chuska is gonna release an full-length album later this year too.
So just follow the Instagrams.
Yep.
All will be revealed to you.
Exactly.
Do you want to play a song?
Sure, let's do it. All right. All right. Well, I'm Adele. This is Felipe. We're two members of La Banda Chuska, and we're gonna play a song called Arcoiris, which is from our first EP, which is on Bandcamp and Spotify. And here we go.
I hope that's actually making.
I know.
You're making like a telephone voice.